What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here, and today we are going to be doing a kit review for the brand new hero coming out this weekend. We already made a video about the banner itself. Now we're going to be talking specifically about the brand new hero, Artemis. So let's dive right in. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Like I said, today is going to be all about this brand new banner that is coming out, specifically focused on this new healer from the cultist faction named Artemis. Now, if you watched my previous video talking about the banner coming out this weekend, you'll already know that I think this guy is amazing. Not just his kit, but like the way he looks, the whole vibe he gives off is one of my favorite things. I love the aspect of just like this dark plague doctor kind of look. The sniper looks really cool. It looks like he's collecting blood and using it to shoot people to heal them, which is really cool. I remember playing Overwatch a long time ago, like back when it first came out, and just thinking like, why can't I heal people with my gun? I'd love to be able to heal people with my gun. And then they brought out I think her name was Anna, and she was able to heal with her gun, and I love that vibe. Artemis gives me that same feeling, which I think is really cool. So let's quickly talk about the Sanguine Surgeon himself. He is renowned for his formidable blood healing technique. The Sanguine Surgeon is a constant presence amidst the fallen. His vital serum wields a dual power, inflicting anti-healing on foes while bestowing recovery upon allies, which I think is just awesome. He's going to be really good if you don't have a Boreas, and or after this new Boreas nerf that's coming in, which I don't have 100% of the details on, but I have heard some of the stuff about him, and it does look like he's going to be hit pretty hard, so there's a chance that maybe he won't be able to do as well in Gear Raid 121 as he's been able to do, potentially needing another big damage dealer. So it might make more sense to bring Artemis as your form of anti-healing, but we'll have to see what actually happens with both Artemis's playability as well as the nerf to Boreas. Let's talk about his talent. His talent is when healing allies applied with Blood Craving restore 2% rage, and Blood Craving is this increased healing buff that he gives on some of his skills. And speaking of skills, let's look into him. So first one we have is just his basic. He is an attack-based healer. I love this. Pretty obvious basic, right? Single target, attack-based healer. Great, we love that. Then we have Revitalizing Shot. His first passive during the ultimate heals up to 3 allies around the target with a 100% healing multiplier upon hit. Basic attack prioritizes enemy targets during the ultimate unless there are only allies in range. So this is why he can actually be really good for Gear Raid 1. When he uses his ultimate, he will actually deal damage to the enemies with his ultimate active, which is actually really cool. Then we have his Sanguine Tonic, periodically locks onto allies, excluding the hero, so not including himself, and throws Sanguine Tonic on them. When hitting a target, applies Blood Craving on nearby allies and heals them with a 120% healing multiplier. So this is a 10-second buff that just increases the healing received from Artemis's basic attack by 30%, which also is, of course, giving rage. I think this is going to be really good in certain scenarios, particularly in places such as Gear Raid 1, as well as in places such as the Wasteland Titan Immortal Codex boss, because a lot of the times on those maps you're grouping all of your allies together, which means there's a good chance you're going to hit a good chunk of your team, if not your entire team. And it doesn't seem to be that there's any sort of like limit on how many people can be targeted with this skill. It just happens every 30 seconds, scaled down to 20 seconds, which means you have a 50% uptime on this Blood Craving, which is really awesome because you're going to get 2% rage every time you heal that ally with Blood Craving. Now, something I am a little curious about, I'm going to assume that it is just Artemis's healing, but I'm wondering if other allies' healing also triggers this rage. Again, it says when healing allies. I'm going to assume that means when he heals the allies, but we'll have to see for sure how that happens once we get into the game and we have him available. Then we could talk about his ultimate. So his ultimate is Crimson Reaper. It's a 1200 cost, 600 starting rage, 15-second duration, and it is a manual ultimate. During the ultimate, it locks onto enemies, dealing 160% AoE damage to up to 8 enemies with each attack and inflicting anti-healing on them. So pretty obvious, it kind of makes sense. This is one of the things where I'm not sure if he's going to be amazing in the healing codex because of the ultimate. I believe that it will still heal because it says here basic attack prioritizes enemy targets during the ultimate unless there are only allies in range, which would make me believe that he's going to heal AoE. But again, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't had a chance to play test him. I'd really love to be able to get access to the test server. So Moonton, if you guys are watching this, hook me up, get me on the test server so I can actually test these champions. It'd be really, really fun for both myself and also for the community. I'd really love to do that. But I would assume that because of the way that this passive is worded, that his ultimate would heal your allies because of the fact that it says unless there are only allies in range. And because that's the case, I would assume that this ultimate is a good chunk of healing that he can give to your allies. And when you have Blood Craving on them, which again, Blood Craving hits all allies around, and then you have this AoE heal on his ultimate, assuming it works that way. That's a lot of rage buildup. So in places like Immortal Codex or Gear Raid 1, you could see some potential benefits to having this kind of in your kit. So we'll have to see, but I am super, super excited about him. He looks really awesome. His range is pretty decent. You know, his stats are not amazing, but they're not bad. Pretty decent stats overall. Let's take a look at his Awakens. Now, again, keep in mind, guys, this is a legendary, so it's going to be difficult to get these Awakens unless you are whaling. So don't base your decision of pulling on getting a A1, A3, A5 version unless you're going to whale on the champion. So, his A1, during the ultimate, increased crit rate by 50%. So this is really good if you are going for a sort of DPS style Artemis, where you're building up his ultimate quickly and then nuking people around with the ultimate. It does do a decent chunk of damage. And having 50% crit rate from his A1 means you can rely more heavily into the attack speed, etc. other things, instead of having to rely on hitting 100% crit, which I think is really good because it's pretty easy to get 50% crit from just a couple lines on gear, nothing super crazy. Plus, of course, you also, if I remember correctly, everyone starts with a little bit, right? Oh, no, they don't. That's right. Only some people start with it. I forgot. Not like other games. But either way, I think this is going to be really good. So if you're planning on using him in Gear Raid 1 specifically, I think this is going to be really, really amazing. I'm assuming that his heals will not be able to crit like other healers. And so because of that, that makes me think that it doesn't make a lot of sense to build him with crit rate if you're not dealing damage. So in places like the Wasteland Titan, it's not going to make sense to build him with crit because he's not going to be able to damage the boss because of how that sort of lines up. But let's go into more. A2 is just a flat attack boost, pretty common. A3 increases the effect duration of Blood Craving on allies by 5 seconds. This is major. This is really, really powerful. This is a 50% increase on the uptime of Blood Craving, which is very powerful for several reasons. One, it increases the healing that Artemis does to all of those champions by 30%, which is very, very powerful. But also, his talent gives 2% rage when healing an ally with Blood Craving. So you're going to be generating a ton of additional rage for your team and also healing them for more. Now we're going from a 10-second, which let's pull it back up so you guys can see. We're going from a 10-second buff on a 20-second cooldown, right? Because it's 30 seconds drop down to 20. On a 20-second cooldown, you're taking this 10-second buff and turning it into a 15-second buff, which means there's only going to be 5 seconds of downtime, which is really, really powerful. So if you have the ability to get Artemis to A3, I would highly recommend it if he's someone that you need on your roster to help you push in various content. A4, rage regen on auto. We love that. And then his A5, Sanguine Tonic, heals allies in range with a 30% healing multiplier per second, lasting for 5 seconds. So the healing tonic, the way that I'm understanding this is that it just, when you throw this and you give the blood craving, it's then also going to put a heal over time, or a hot, which I don't believe we have in the game currently, not that I can think of off the top of my head, but it's a hot or a heal over time, kind of similar to a dot like a Nick and Knight or a poison, bleed, whatever, but a heal on your allies. If you're not super familiar with the term, it's like an MMO style term. So you might not be super familiar with it unless you've played those kinds of games. But I think this is actually really good. There's a couple of reasons why I think this is really good. A, you just applied blood craving, right? Which means that's going to be very powerful because you have this 5-second heal on all of those allies, which means you're going to be generating 10% rage just by using this passive. And that's not including any other heals that your Artemis might do in that time frame, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. But let's assume, right, that you're able to, because I don't know for sure, but let's assume that you're able to get this attack interval down to, let's be generous, let's say 2 seconds, right? Which means you're able to get one attack off every 2 seconds. And then let's say you use your ultimate. Your ultimate lasts for 15 seconds, which means during that 15-second time period, you'll be able to get off 7 AoE attacks. Now, again, we're talking about an A5 Artemis here, which means your blood craving is going to also last for 15 seconds. So the best path, the best way to use this is probably going to be wait for your Sanguine Tonic to proc. When it procs, you're going to pop the ultimate and heal all of your allies a ton of times. What that's going to do is you're going to get 7 AoE hits on everybody. That is going to heal them. That is going to restore 14% rage. Then you are going to be getting this heal over time that's going to proc 5 total times, right? If we come here, 5 total times, which is going to give you an additional 10% rage, which means by timing things appropriately with your Sanguine Tonic plus your ultimate, you will be able to restore almost 25% rage during the ultimate using his passive on every ally in that area. I think this is very, very powerful, and it's going to be very good specifically in various places. Like, again, one of those places is going to be Gear Raid 121. Another one of those places is going to be in Immortal Codex in the Wasteland Titan. And then, of course, anywhere that you need a healer that you're grouped up with, I think Artemis is going to be a potential viable option. I would say he doesn't seem like he's going to be a main healer. You're not going to want to bring him in like in spot of Eloin, for example, because if there are enemies, he will target the enemies, which could lead to your team dying in that time frame because he's not necessarily going to target them to heal them. So that is something to keep in mind, but I really, really like this champion. I think he's going to do very crazy things. He's going to shake up the Immortal Codex meta. He's going to make Gear Raid 1 a little more accessible for more people because this now makes, I believe, 4 champions that have anti-healing in the game. I think, right? Because we've got Lasir, Boreas, Artemis, and Zealous with his thing. I don't think anyone else has anti-healing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But either way, we've got 4, maybe 5 champions that have anti-healing. This is really good because it's giving us more ways to handle Gear Raid 1. I'd really like to see them bring in an epic with healing immunity or anti-healing of some kind. I think that would be very helpful for a good majority of the player base. But I will take another legendary that also has anti-healing because it gives us more possibilities to use in Gear Raid 1. But guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Artemis's toolkit. I think he's really awesome. I'm really excited to attempt to pull for him this weekend. Also, let me know if you're gonna be pulling for him this weekend. I know I asked that question at the end of the last video talking about the banner, but I'm still curious. I only had a few people respond, so let me know what you guys are gonna be doing. Don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see all my content when it goes live in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.